Okay, can you unmute the phone, please? Alejandro, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can.
We'll adjust that when parents get on. How about now?
Yes, I can still hear you.
Alejandro.
Hello?
Alejandro, can you say something?
Yes, can you hear me? You're on mute now. Can folks hear me now? Can you hear me, Michael? Great.
Can you hear us?
I do everything.
Like, I just can't, I have to be doing something, and it's like, they mechanically makes the coffee and starts to get up.
Okay, let's try this again. Alejandro, one more time. Can you hear us?
Mm-hmm.
When I'm horizontal,
When I hit that, it's over.
Yeah. Same thing for him. Success.
Yay. I mean, I could do all the hours you want, but
Okay, I want to welcome everybody again to our monthly meeting of the Board of Trustees. My apologies for our technical difficulties, first with the internet and then the Zoom, but I think we're good to go, knock on wood. We would, wherever it is. I'd like to welcome our trustees who are here. Our secretary, Charles Somm, is running late this evening, but Matthew Padilla is here taking some notes, and we're recording the session. And so, Madam Chair, if you'd like to call us to order, we're finally ready.
Great. I'm going to call the meeting to order. We do not need a motion to call us to order. All right, we're going to call the meeting to order. The time is 6:22, and we can start off the agenda with an approval of the agenda. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Sorry, second.
Maho moved, David seconded. The agenda is approved.
Excellent.
The February meeting notes, which were sent out beforehand, and I know, can I have a motion from someone who was present at that meeting, because a few of us were out to. Okay,
Second.
great.
Motion to approve the February minutes.
Thank you, Alejandro. We did not vote.
You trying to promote this computer, Michael?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor of February minutes being approved?
Aye.
All right. We're going to move into new business with an update from our executive director,
Very good.
Michael.
Or promoted the panel, their video. So, thank you. I'll go ahead and get started. If I can project so our folks in the room can see the slides. All right, I won't wait for that.
We can also.
We have them here, yeah.
You've got them here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just the regular.
Yeah. So we are here for the first time in a while without masks on as adults, and that was a big shift at our school this past week. We shared with staff and with families. We appreciate everybody's input. Before we were making this decision, we had about 60% of our families who said they thought mask optional was something they would recommend. About 40% of our staff preferred that, but I think we've seen folks get more comfortable as cases stay down, and we all kind of get to know this practice over this past week. It really has been a joy to see how some of our kids have grown and recognize them again after, in some cases, a couple of years. So we're going to continue to keep an eye on the numbers and also keep an eye on the practices that we've adopted and what we can safely roll back going forward. But we're not in a rush. We're going to wait and see and continue to make sure that everybody's feeling comfortable in the school. Before I just move on, COVID is a big topic. Any question or comments on that? Do you want to express my appreciation for both of our parent trustees as well as our chair, who gave me very good advice. I tried to take it. Again, it's been nice to see us get back closer to normal. Feel free to come back to this if something occurs to you.
I'll just make
Please.
2 questions and things that you and I had talked about. One, I know how have the students been negotiating with each other in terms of the social interactions for kids who are wearing masks or not wearing masks? How's that going? Is it being comfortable?
Want to speak to that, Joanna?
Sure. So it's going better than I anticipated. I think that naturally kids are just complimenting each other, you know, making surprising facial expressions. What we did was, the first day that we rolled out, like, the option of no mask, we planned out a lesson, and we gave a deck of slides to our staff, and in all classrooms, during morning meeting, they had a lesson that, we talked about having that option of wearing mask, and that it's okay to wear mask, and how do we show our core virtues, living our core virtues, throughout this change of some adults, some kids not wearing masks, some wearing masks. And I think that helped to launch the change. But I think the kids are doing well. Staff is doing well. So we do have kids, of course. We have a list that we update periodically, right? Because some parents then will call and be like, yeah, I want my child to wear a mask, so that's going to fluctuate. But I think it's going well. And I think that kids are happy to see each other's faces. I see that the joy has increased significantly. And I think staff, too. Staff, kids, it feels really good to me. Yeah.
Can I just ask about that? So you're enforcing is the wrong word, but I guess carrying out what the parents' requests are for the kids. So the option is the parents, and then you're maintaining a list and you're asking those children to wear masks?
Exactly.
So what's the procedure if a child whose parent wants them to wear a mask takes their mask off?
We haven't had that situation come up yet, because the kids that are wearing masks are very clear about, my mom tells me not to take off my mask, and I need to wear it. Even the kindergarten students, which surprisingly, I would think that, you know, sometimes they forget or they take it off or ask to lunch, but we haven't had that situation.
Yeah, I think it would be the same as a child who has to come to school in a cast or something else where, you know, we'd use our regular responsive classroom approach to reinforcing that. But a lot of the messaging on the rollout was about it's okay that different families make different decisions.
Yeah, no,
I think that helped.
I was just kind of wondering how you handle the individual. And the policy makes sense to me, I get that.
Yeah.
And if it comes up, I think that we will address that like any other situation. If a scholar feels really, like they like probably, most of the kids in my class are not wearing masks, I don't want to wear the mask, and he's on the list, then that's a conversation that we should be having with the parent, and we will have with the parent, to discuss that and talk through it. But like I said, it hasn't come up yet.
Like, some of my friends are not wearing masks, and I'm trying to wear a mask, why do I ask? I'm not just because I'm a
Right.
But they know.
So they're probably going home and bringing it up, but not yet. And I anticipate it's going to happen, right, eventually.
Well, I'm just curious, my daughter asks about it too, so like it's on my mind.
Great. So we're going to keep monitoring that. I did see a comment in the chat. I fear to click on it, but we know.
We did.
Yeah. We know that the only constant is change, so we will continue to monitor and see what the state of the world is like. In the meantime, this is a month we fondly refer to as March Madness, because the culmination of this year and all the planning for next year overlaps in the month of March. And so one of those pushes is a push for enrollment. So if you're listening, we encourage you to spread the word about LEEP Academy. We are enrolling a full kindergarten class, and the available seats that we have in first grade and in second grade. Our annual random enrollment lottery is scheduled for April 5th. And we always remind parents that if you end up on the wait list, think of it as the likely list, because you're still likely to get an offer before the next school year. At this moment, we are not where we want to be in terms of seats. I guess that's good news if you're in the kindergarten list, but we are continuing to push. So we've got a series of videos that we're going to be sharing. The team is partnering with some local businesses to get ads in laundromats and other places like that. We're doing canvassing with flyers, and these next 2.5 weeks before the lottery are going to be that's going to be a big focus of our team's work. I'm trying to decide if I have the technical confidence to try to play a video right now. You think I can do that? Let's try it. Let's try it. we've been working with the company that's done our ads in the past, and they came in, and with great help from teachers and families, and even some students were able to, I think, capture what our school is about. There'll be a total of 4 or 5, but the first one that's available is one of the Spanish language spots. So let me see if I can't do this. I'm gonna share sound, because I'm a Zoom expert now, and
Mi nombre es Yael Jiménez y soy mamá de 3 niños en LEEP Dual Language Academy. Mi primer lengua es el español, entonces yo quería lo mismo para mis niños. Siempre me prometí, y cuando hablaba con mi esposo decía que el primer idioma en mi casa sería el español. Y aquí no es que se olvida del inglés. Empiezan con un 10% de inglés, van aprendiendo poco a poco, y entonces cuando llegan al 5º grado ya son bilingües completamente.
Lo que nosotros estamos haciendo aquí en esta escuela, nosotros queremos asegurarnos que los estudiantes no se olviden su idioma, que nuestros estudiantes puedan hablar, escribir y leer en español y inglés.
Entonces LEEP es una escuela bilingüe que le da a los niños la oportunidad de estudiar en inglés y en español y realmente recibir una educación totalmente bilingüe, pero igual bicultural.
Para mí me tratan con cariño y respeto, y yo les trato también con respeto y cariño. Siempre me gusta cuando que me ayudan y también cuando que me explican todo.
Somos los especialistas, somos de distintos países de Latinoamérica y tenemos una relación muy de amistad. Es un muy bonito equipo de trabajo con una experiencia en donde compartimos nuestras experiencias personales, también laborales, y al mismo tiempo enriquecemos como el equipo de trabajo y las herramientas y todo lo que podemos implementar para mejorar la experiencia educativa para los estudiantes del LEEP.
so a huge shout out to our staff. It's nice to zoom back and look at it from above, sometimes literally with that drone footage, but see what goes on in this building every day. Really, a couple of us may have gotten choked up watching that earlier. So let me see here. I'll get back to our slides. Enrollment will continue. We're also pushing for teacher recruitment and doing a lot of interviews with a lot of great educators who are interested in what we're up to. We have, however, experienced a couple of departures from our team, which I think most folks are aware of. 2 of our teachers, one in 1st grade, where we have a new teacher in a co-taught classroom, and that's been a transition for that class, as well as one of our intervention teachers who has moved on from LEEP. Most notably, though, we are without our founding counselor, who decided to move on to pursue some other ventures. And so I want to name that our principal has been working very diligently along with our social worker. No children have missed social work, but we've had to reschedule a couple of IEP meetings, and we've been really doing a deep dive into special education at LEEP as a result of that. So we anticipate making a hire for a special ed coordinator before the end of this year, and also just taking the opportunity to look at everything and how we're doing by our students with special needs. But anytime we have somebody who's part of our very founding team, move on, we celebrate them and we appreciate what they contributed, and at the same time we look to kind of strengthen what we're doing going forward. So I hope that anybody who's been interacting with our special ed system has felt that was pretty seamless, and our social worker, Ms. Albarracin, has really been tremendous. She had already taken over that caseload in terms of kids' counseling needs, and she continues to be a great contributor here. So I highlighted that. I think the board may talk about some of this a little bit later, but wanted to mention those changes. Back to March Madness. We are getting ready for our third graders' first state tests, and as we talked about last month, doing that by giving all our grade levels practice at sort of a testing experience. We had a training with teachers yesterday, and a big headline is, how do you get students in the right frame of mind? You pump them up, they get excited to show what they know. This is not a high-pressure experience, but it is a chance to do something special and to work on kind of showing off what they've been working so hard on all year. So that's really an important piece of our climate, even as we get everybody ready for testing. And although we had to delay by one day, starting tomorrow, and then Thursday, we'll be having our last round of practice tests before those third graders start their state tests at the end of the month. So I pair that with the planning that we've been doing, because as we come out of that season, we want to make sure that we're also, ending the year really strong. Getting back to in-person field trips is something that we're all really looking forward to. And at the same time, building in some additional kinds of academic enrichment. I'm not going to spill the beans, but we have different activities that are being planned by our academic team. We never want to lose sight of, that we're working to educate the whole child at LEEP. How did I do, team?
You did
okay?
awesome.
All right.
I don't want to spill the beans.
So yeah, we're excited for our scholars in third grade and all the work that they're doing, and really all of our students who are trying something new this month. Finally, I would just note that we've sent out some preliminary information about summer school and summer camp, and shortly we'll be sharing more information about exact prices and some other things like that. I was checking in with Mr. Padilla today about how our summer and after-school programs are going, and he reminded me that this time last year we had about 25 kids in after-school, and now we have about 120 with all kinds of activities going on. So we're excited to have our now with another year of experience at LEEP, our director planning another summer experience, both on the academic intervention side and in the day camp side. So that's also coming up. And I think those are the headlines for this month. Any questions or comments on where we are? I know there is, the board plans to go into executive session tonight, so there's a couple things that we'll talk about then. But I think this is one of those months where there's just a lot happening, and you can feel it around the building. If not, then I think we can turn to committee reports.
Sure. Bob, would you like to take us through the notes? I think this is a simple month for us to follow. And we may talk about the budget that was presented for next year in the executive session, but I would like to bring everyone up to speed on it.
Sure. So as of the end of February, the organization had a year-to-date surplus of $216,000, which is very much in line with how we've been running over the last few months. We have $5.78 million in revenue against $5.56 million in total expenses. We're forecasting an annual surplus of a little bit more than $300,000 this year. So considering where we are at the fiscal year, $200,000 about 2/3 of the way through the year, I'd say we're running pretty much right on track. And significant notes, I think there weren't a ton of material changes to our forecast this particular month. It's one of the in-between months where we don't submit updates on our enrollment to the Department of Education. So no real changes to our revenue forecast. Headlines, I think, on the expense side, really, we have 6 figures in savings on salary and personnel expense. We've had some staff attrition, we've carried some vacancies for a period of time, and we have some costs related to benefits. All of the other than personnel changes, I think we highlighted last month. Michael and I did a deep dive as far as recognizing areas of where we might have cost savings or cost overrun. So no changes to those projections over the course of this month. So year to date, I think we're running very much in line with how we expected. On the balance sheet, I think the only number of note there that may have changed from last month, we closed the month with about $1.28 million in cash. We received our latest per pupil distribution at the end of February. So we look good there. And then as far as our financial ratios go, we are compliant with all of them, excluding the awkward capital lease situation.
Sure. I think I'd just like to add to that we were able to recognize savings because of attrition, keeping some vacancies open. That's not always something you want to do, but one of the things we were able to do was really pour available dollars back into programming, and I think that's been a net positive. And again, from where I'm sitting, I'll make that comment. But I do think that it's been a net positive. The debt to asset ratio thing is an accounting thing that we will live with and argue about until I run out of voice to argue about it. But I really, I have to thank Bob and Michael again for spending the time to go back in and break out the miscellaneous cash and really spend time making sure we knew where everything was going. Because first of all, that's our job, but also, I want to make sure that it's going into the classrooms. So I appreciate that, Bob. Thank you. But barring any questions, as you mentioned, I think this is an uneventful update in that we don't change our allotment, and we will continue to recognize what we expected, albeit lower than the beginning of the year. Again, I think that money went into programmatic changes that were net positive, so no one is complaining on our end.
Thank you so much.
The executive committee did meet for our first time, so we're excited about that, which the executive committee is just the officers, and we have started recurring monthly, so we'll hopefully have more to share out in the future.
And the academic committee also held a meeting, went through, I think, many of the updates that we shared tonight with a little bit more depth in terms of some of the instructional coaching work that's been happening, and some more details about special education. Maho, I don't know if you want to share anything beyond that.
No, I think that was pretty much it.
Yeah. I want to shout out our first and second grade teams who have really made some good progress these last couple of months with their dean. That was one thing we were happy to dig into with the academic committee meeting this month. Great. So making good progress here. I don't believe there are board development updates for this month. And so we can turn to any public comments that we have. And this time I won't ask the laptops in the room for their comments because I've learned. So I'll just go in alphabetical order. Good evening, Ms. Woods. How are you? And would you like to share a comment tonight?
No comment, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Ms. Casper is here. Hi, how are you? Would you like to make a comment tonight?
Thanks. Thanks, guys. No, thank you.
Okay, thank you for being here. And Ms. Farber, would you like to make a comment tonight?
Hi, all. I know I just sent that information about COVID, but I think you you addressed it already. But I think I have trust that you all are monitoring it, so I'm not concerned. I just wanted to mention, because you were mentioning the summer camp and the after school program is absolutely phenomenal. So I just want to throw that out there.
Thank you so much. We're going to pass that on.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I don't know if you. So glad to hear that, Lauren. Thanks again.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, so that concludes the public attendance, public comment for tonight. So if I'm not mistaken, there are a few possible purposes that the board may want to go into executive session for. And I would just suggest that you use whichever language here applies in making a motion.
And I could just make the motion directly. Yeah. So I'm going to make a motion for us to move into executive session to discuss proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property, potential collective negotiations, and matters regarding to the employment history of an individual staff member.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. I think, as usual, the board expects to just come back to adjourn the meeting later on. So thank you for joining us. And we will just take a moment to make our technological adjustments. Right? Thank you.
All-time shortest meeting.
We mentioned last night that.
We got it done quickly this time.